mini review on the film Wounds. I've just watched it. I know it's been out for a very, very, very long time. I'm more than aware of this, by the way. But I've just watched it. And my first thought is that how could it end like this? How could it end this way? um, that ending was quite it doesn't feel like an ending, does it? I'm sure you can agree if you've also watched it. So it led me to sort of question more around the analogy or the what it could symbolize. And what I've come up with is I kind of feel like it's all in his head. This is just my perception. It's about what he's going through and his personal struggles, which have been portrayed as coming to the surface. So obviously we all have these emotional, internal wounds, but his was throughout the film it came to the forefront. So what we could see was his pain. And I feel like he had a guilty conscience to a certain extent. The signs of him drinking, he clearly wasn't dealing with his own internal battles very well. It was quite interesting because at the beginning of the film, his relationship looked, they looked like they had a bond. They were quite close together, but then obviously they drifted apart. And I'm not really sure why they drifted apart, because I know that there was this other woman, but they were very close at the start, and then all of a sudden he wanted someone he couldn't have. And I'm not sure if he felt like he didn't have a purpose. It was almost like he didn't have a purpose. They drifted apart for whatever reason, which wasn't really clear. It is confusing. I'm just thinking of it. Like, I haven't made notes. I'm trying to think of the whole movie and certain elements that came up. This guy with a thing on his face, he didn't obviously want to go to the hospital. But then at the same time, you could argue, well, the other guy didn't want to take the phone into the police. And even when the phone did show up again later on, he could have said, look, I'm going to take this to the police. But no, he decided to phone it. He wanted to call the number. And for me, that's almost like a symbol of him accepting his internal wounds and facing it. He was facing the extreme torture. But all the people that were in the film, I feel like there were different parts of him almost. He wanted to be the strong guy, and that would be the guy with the slash on his face. He was also the jealous guy. So there was that black woman that he fell in love with, and the guy that she kept saying that he was with, she apparently said that he was jealous, and he was like, that scene at the bar, he was like, who is he jealous of? But it was almost like it was a reverse role. Like, this is just what he's thinking. He's actually jealous of him because he's with her. So there were all these different people, almost like parts of himself. That's the only that's the only thing I can put it down to. That they were all parts of him surfacing. But anyway, as I said, this is just literally a mini review. I'm not really going to go into it too much because I'm sure most of you would agree. The ending still, for me, was a bit abrupt and just not really going anywhere, which makes me feel like it's more a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's to encourage us to look within ourselves. We can't find the end of the film anywhere because it doesn't exist. So it's almost like we have to look within ourselves and face our own stuff, basically. That's all I can put it down to. Otherwise, I feel like I've wasted, however long the film was, the duration. So anyway, I will be doing a lot more film reviewing because I love films, in particular horror and anything with like that's psychological, that makes you think. So also, if you have any suggestions for what you want me to review, let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe and all that stuff.